The most difficult challenge one can attempt in a single multiplayer match of Call of Duty is the Tactical Nuke kill streak. In Modern Warfare 2 and now Modern Warfare 3, the Tactical Nuke is known as the MGB, and it is awarded to users who reach a 30 kill streak using only their gun. So your attack chopper kills, sentries, airstrikes, etc. all have no effect on this streak. For some, this task sounds impossible, and to others, the challenge is what keeps the game exciting year-round. When I was younger playing the original Modern Warfare 3, I decided to go for the nuke, which at the time was the MOAB, and although I wasn't good enough to get it, I enjoyed getting closer and closer to it. And then one random night, I was staying at my friend's house, and after he fell asleep, I somehow reeled off a nuke streak for the first time, on the map C-Town if anyone's curious. I woke my friend up with excitement to show him what I had done, and from that point on, I was hooked. I realized I was good enough to get the nuke, even though many people were better than me back then. It came down to patience and decision making, and since then, I have successfully nuked into every Call of Duty title that has had one, and I've refined my methods for doing so. In today's video, I'm so excited to bring you guys my first of many Modern Warfare 3 tutorials and tips. You guys know I post a ton of ranked guides, and those will be back once ranked releases, but for now I'll be teaching you things like how to easily get the camo grind done, how to get nukes, and much more. I was able to get a nuke in Modern Warfare 3 already, and I'm gonna break down my gameplay, telling you guys what the most important factors are when going for these nukes. First, let's get a head count. If you're watching this video, let me know by commenting MGB down below, and I'll give you guys a shout out in the next video. Excited to see some familiar faces and some new ones in the comments. My name is Redix, and let's dive in. Section 1 is the class setup. The first thing that you're going to have to focus on is your class setup. Sure, you could get a great lobby and have a great game and get yourself a nuke without having the perfect class. But if you're still leveling guns up and you're not coming close to a nuke streak, don't be discouraged. The class setup is an integral part to the flow of the map. If you don't have a suppressor on your gun, it can make your life a lot more difficult, as players will be able to see you on the minimap when you're firing. If you don't have an assault rifle that you feel comfortable with from medium to long range distances, it's going to be very hard for you to go on a long kill streak. This is why I recommend using the ACR, which is called the MCW in this game, because its recoil is so predictable and so controllable. Slap a suppressor on that to keep yourself on the map and you're good to go. You're going to have to deal with fights from medium to long range using this, and you also need to have a comfortable secondary, or at least pick up a secondary from someone that you kill who's running a submachine gun. There's no specific class setup, but the main things that you're going to need is an assault rifle that you're comfortable using with a suppressor to keep you concealed, and then the munitions box should be your field upgrade so you can replenish ammo throughout the game. This makes it to where when you're in a tough spot behind enemy lines and you run out of ammo, you're not going to have to run out into an enemy's line of sight to try to pick up ammo off someone that you just killed. As for perks, you definitely want to have on the covert sneakers, which is dead silence. This of course silences your footsteps so that you can move around the map without enemies getting sound cues on your location. And now that we have a suppressed weapon and covert sneakers, we need to run the ghost camo gear. This will keep us off the enemy's minimap when they're calling in their UAVs, and if you plan on trying to get your nuke in the ground war mode, as that's where most people get their first nuke, there will be plenty of UAVs called in. Now there are good secondaries that you can run, but you definitely want to try to get a submachine gun off of an enemy that you kill, and hopefully it's something decent. Now you could run something like a pistol as your secondary and try to get it done with that, but I wouldn't recommend it. This will just make it so that if you do run out of ammo or you need to get in a close range fight, you're not going to be at a disadvantage, as your assault rifle will most likely be tailored towards farther gunfights. This leads us into our kill streaks. You need to make sure that you're running a UAV, a counter UAV, and an advanced UAV. As we talked about earlier, your kill streak kills do not count towards your nuke streak, so it's important to use non-lethals so that it doesn't throw you off of your game and it still helps you get more kills. With this streak setup, it makes it to where you have intel on where your opponents are, and you can also use the counter UAV to block out the enemy's minimap. Even though you're ghosted so you're not showing up on their UAVs, they can still utilize their minimap by looking at where their teammates' locations are and things like that. So if you're blocking it out with your counter UAV, it'll make it that much easier for you to catch them off guard. And I know some people are going to ask, can I use a sniper? On ground war, absolutely give it a try. Even on the new war mode, you definitely can, but it's going to be harder for you to move around the map. And one of the next couple steps that we're going to talk about is how important it is to stay mobile and stay unpredictable. The last thing I want to mention is the vests. The best one to use is the gunner vest, because you can actually bring in 2 primary weapons and have extra ammo to spawn in with. This way you can bring a submachine gun with your assault rifle or sniper rifle, and you don't have to worry about picking up a random one from an enemy. The reason I saved this for last is because there's also a good reason for you to use the CCT comms vest, as it helps you get enemy pings off of enemies that have died. This helps when you're out of your UAVs and you just need a little bit of intel to get the last couple of kills towards your nuke. This is where I'd say a more skilled player would probably benefit more from the comms vest, while a beginner may benefit more from the gunner vest. Now that we have our class set up, we need to decide which game mode we're going to do this in. As I mentioned previously, a lot of players, not only beginners, do their hunting for nukes in the ground war playlist, and the reason for this is because with a bigger map comes more players and more opportunities to reposition around the map. When we get into the actual strategy of the nuke here at the next step, you'll see that the main point is being unpredictable around the map and not being in the same spot for too long. With ground war having such large maps with so many different buildings and areas, it's easy to stay unpredictable as you can move to an entirely new area of the map and fight an entire new set of players, meaning they won't be expecting you for very long. If you absolutely must get your nuke in multiplayer to feel accomplished, the best game mode to do this in would be domination or hardpoint. Free for all is good as well, but you wouldn't be able to call the nuke in because it ends after you get 30 kills. Team deathmatch is not good because your team may end up getting too many kills and winning the game, and also it's got horrible spawns. Just like Kill Confirm, they don't have great spawns, so it's easy for you to get caught off guard and get shot in the back. And it's also harder for you to predict where the enemies will be. It'll be very difficult for you to get your first nuke in a domination or hardpoint match, but if you do feel like you need to get it in multiplayer and not ground war, these are the modes to do it in. To briefly sum it up before moving to the next point, the level of difficulty on getting a nuke in multiplayer is an 8 or 9 out of 10, with a lot of it being left up to just getting lucky and getting a good lobby, while in ground war, the difficulty to get a nuke stays around 5 pretty much every game, regardless of who you're playing against, because there's so much more opportunity on a ground war map for you to streak up. Also, skill-based matchmaking is a lot less strict when it comes to ground war because there is so many players. You're not going to be playing against nothing but sweats, and honestly, most of the sweats are in multiplayer anyway. That's just my opinion, and while people may have differing opinions, this is my video, so I'm going to be telling you guys what works best for me, and ground war is a great way to go. Now for the next step, which is actually how to get the nuke. So now we're actually going to discuss the strategy that I've been using for over a decade. As I mentioned earlier, it's not as hard as it sounds, especially once you get your first one out of the way. The hardest part is staying focused through an entire 30 kill streak, as you can't slip up a single time. The gameplay that I'm going to be breaking down for you guys, I was playing a ground war match on whatever this map is called. In this, you'll see that not only was I given a good lobby, which I had to take advantage of, but of course, if you're seeing YouTubers drop double or triple nukes in multiplayer matches on like Skid Row, those are probably reverse boosted lobbies in most cases, so don't get discouraged if you're seeing these random guys get 4 or 5 nukes in a single game. They're definitely doing some shady stuff. Now, while I was given a good lobby, I was also fully locked in with my decision making. The first thing you need to pay attention to is the spawns, meaning if you have, for example, flags A, B, and C in a ground war game, and the enemy has flags D and E, they're probably going to be spawning on the entire side of the map that has flags D and E. And if they have 3 or 4 of the flags, then their spawns are going to be a lot less predictable because you and your team are going to be spawn trapped on the single flag that you have captured. This is why it's important for you to try to capture the objectives early on before you're on a kill streak, or party up with people that you know like to play the objective, and they can make it even easier on you. I'll be releasing a separate video on how to read spawns this year, and I plan on going very in-depth on it, so turn on notifications if you want to see that. But once you kind of have an idea of where the enemy team is spawning, that's when you need to find your spot to start your streak. A good location for this would be in the middle of the map where there's big fights going on. There's no point in waiting around camping before you start a kill streak and then dying and having to restart it. If it takes you 10 minutes to get a 3 kill streak, you're not going to get a nuke. Could just run to the middle of the map and try to get 5 or 6 quick kills and then reposition. If you manage to get on a short kill streak in the middle of the map, you can start to move towards the enemy spawn and find your safe space. And now, I know that sounds like I'm saying go camp in a corner, but that's not what I mean per se. I personally like to find warehouses with multiple doors and windows so that I have different points of entry and different areas to move around. It's important that these windows or doors have a line of sight towards the enemy spawn as well. This way you can poke in and out of windows and doors, picking people off one at a time before then relocating to a different window or a different door. Now, be prepared for people to chase you, which is why having something like a claymore on your class may be a good idea as well, but I don't personally usually run those. I usually like to let people chase me, as that's usually a free kill. Now, this is where your personal decision making has to factor in. You need to know what you're good at and how you're going to be able to get this streak going. I usually stay in one spot picking people off from their spawn until it gets just a little bit too sketchy, meaning if I can go from a 5 kill streak to an 11, 12, 13 kill streak in one spot, but I notice 3 or 4 enemies at a time are starting to focus on me, it's a good idea for me to get out of there and relocate to a completely different area. Yes, I might go from having a lot of action to a slower paced game, but that's kind of what you have to do to get a nuke. Obviously, on the way while relocating to a different area, make sure you're looking out for picks that you can get while keeping yourself a low profile, and also make sure while you're rotating that you look around at potential cover that you can take on the way if you get shot. You don't want to be on a 15 kill streak and panic while rotating to your next spot and just run through an open area just to get shot in the back. Once one spot opens up and gets a little bit too hectic for me, I like to slide out of a back door or a back window and use whatever cover I can to completely get out of there. A lot of times as I'm leaving, I'll turn around and I'll catch 1 or 2 people who are looking for me, and I'll be able to get a few extra kills added to my kill streak while I relocate. The best thing you can do is find another area with good cover and multiple access points. If I killed a lot of enemies near the flag, I need to go towards a different flag, whether it's the A, B, or C flag, and find a spot that I can lock down. If I'm lucky, I'll get my nuke there, but in many cases, you're going to have to continue to move around the map for a good amount of time, as you'll usually be overrun pretty quickly. It's better to just keep rotating to different areas that the enemy will not be expecting you in, rather than playing with your luck and trying to fight everyone that's chasing you. Stay patient, and remember, there's times where trigger discipline really matters. This means that you may see 4 or 5 enemies in front of you, but if you're on a 15 to 20 kill streak, you definitely shouldn't be shooting at them. It's better to try to get out of there, or just hold a corner down until they pass. This is where a lot of people will panic when they have a 25 to 27 kill streak, and as they start to shake and their heart beats faster, they're going to start to panic and make worse decisions, which is where trigger discipline really matters the most. Simply put, this is the overall strategy for getting a nuke. Stay hidden and concealed while getting as many easy kills as you can, and then relocating to a new position to do that once more. Just make sure you keep in mind, you want every kill and every fight to be easy for you and difficult for the opponent. Tip number 4 is teammates. While using the minimap to pinpoint the enemy spawns and location, it's also important that you use that same minimap to be aware of where your teammates are. I can't tell you how frustrating it is to be on a nuke streak, just to have one of your teammates come running up towards you, shooting their gun like crazy and giving away your position, ultimately getting you killed. It's not good in this scenario to have teammates trying to help you out in the same building or in the same area, because this will just draw more attention towards you and likely get you killed. If you're watching your minimap and you notice that your teammates are all pushing up closer and closer into the enemy spawn with you, or that your teammates are flooding a specific area that you were using, get out of there and find a new area. You want as little teammates as possible nearby. If teammates are close, then the enemies will be more likely to be fighting around that area that you're in. The point of this strategy is to get free and easy kills by catching opponents off guard. Especially in ground war, when they're running out of their spawn for a long time, they're not going to expect you to be there in this gameplay that you're watching. Anytime a teammate got close, I tried to get into my own area so that there was no way the enemy would be aware of me. You don't want them to expect you. If your teammates are around you shooting, then they're going to expect it. The last tip I call the 20+ jitters. This next tip is why I didn't get any nukes in the original Modern Warfare 2 back when I was younger. I mean, I did, but not during the game's life cycle. You have to stay calm, especially when you're getting close to that streak. Even to this day, anytime I'm close to a nuke, my heart beats faster and sometimes my hands will even shake a little bit, because there's a ton of excitement that comes with this, as it's one of the most exciting moments in all FPS multiplayer games. But sometimes your aim can get a little shaky too, or your decision making can suffer, and in all likelihood, the enemy team will be looking for you by now once you're at a 20 to 25 kill streak, so this is the point in the streak where your decision making and gun skill have to shine the most. You can't allow your nerves to hold you back from getting something like this done. Stay focused, whether you have to take a drink of water mid-game, take a deep breath and close your eyes, or just sit in a corner because you're too nervous to move now. We've all been there, and all that matters is that you get your nuke. It doesn't matter how pretty it is, how flashy it is, as long as you get this done, that's what you're going for, trying to accomplish. Now, usually when I get 20+ kills straight, I really start to focus in on my decision making subconsciously, and sometimes that actually messes me up. I try to make sure every decision I make is the correct one and start micro adjusting things rather than just doing what I'd been doing all game that got me a 20+ kill streak. Whatever you have to do to make sure you stay alive for these next couple kills, that's what you need to do, and that's what you need to focus on. But do not let your nerves get in the way of something so simple. You're still just playing a video game, so just enjoy the game, and once you get that nuke, you'll be even more excited. With that being said, welcome to the channel for the season of Modern Warfare 3. I'm going to be going crazy with the content, so let me know down below what you guys want to see me make for this channel. Also, I have a second channel called Redix Retreat where I'll be posting almost daily gameplay videos and class setups. And then when Warzone comes out with its new update, I'm going to continue the content there. And then when Ranked comes, look, what I'm saying is there's a ton of content coming. I appreciate everyone who stuck around during the dead period of MW2, but it's time. We finally got a good game. Good luck, ladies and gentlemen, and go get yourself a nuke.